If you've just been through a breakup, I know you'd do anything to have your ex back in your arms right now. But your willpower isn't all that matters here. What matters is your chances. Do you really have any hope of winning back your ex? And if you can, will you be able to make it stick and actually find happiness together? Or are you struggling to swim against the current with no land in sight? I'm Brad Browning, aka Breakup Brad, and I've reached millions of people around the globe with my breakup advice since I began almost 15 years ago. Now, if you're here, that means you'd benefit from a little help with your ex, so please don't hesitate to like this video and subscribe to my channel. But now, let's get to the bottom of this. What exactly are your chances with your ex? How do you find out, and how can you turn them in your favor? Well, honestly, first off, if you're asking these questions, your chances have already gone up. Many people really don't even think about their chances of getting their ex back. They don't bother coming up with any sort of plan at all. They just plow forward blindly, text their ex over and over again. They show up at their work or house begging for another chance. They leave long, rambling messages on their voicemail about how much they love them and need them back. Basically, they annoy their ex, or worse, scare the hell out of them. Now, these people do significant damage to their chances with their ex, and they often end up alone. But luckily, you decided to seek outside help and information from videos like this one, so you're already on the right track. Now, let's address the most classic piece of advice that people may give you during this time. Now, if you ask people if you should date your ex or if you have any chance of getting them back, what do they say? Well, they say something like, well, they're your ex for a reason, or you broke up for a reason. Now, while this is generally true, it's really reductive and is not something you should listen to or let you dissuade you from pursuing this relationship. The truth is that while they are your ex for a reason, they were also your partner for a reason. You obviously shared some powerful chemistry together. You had a lot of good times together because, you got along so well. Presumably you loved and cared about one another, and that is powerful. If you had it before, then chances are you can have it again if you play your cards right. And while you did break up for a reason, you also want to get back together for a reason. Because your ex makes you happy, and deep down, you know that the two of you could have a great life together if you are able to get over this one stumbling block. So the moral of the story, don't let people tell you that you should never try to date your ex or that you have no chance. These people are just relying on old cliched advice that really doesn't actually hold true in the modern world. And there's also some more good news. According to several studies about breakups, around 50% of couples have broken up and gotten back together at least once. Now, this seems like a really high number, but if you think about it, it actually makes sense. Many people don't want to tell the whole world when they break up with somebody. They, like you, are hoping that it's only temporary, and so they hope that no one finds out before they have a chance to work things out. And obviously, they're very often correct about this. And once they're back together, they obviously don't want to spread around the fact that they broke up. It can be embarrassing if all your friends know all the dirty details of your relationship. It might make them ask questions that you don't want to answer, or to trust you or your partner less. Plus, there are all the people who are waiting to tell you that, they're your ex for a reason. There's just no real reason to share your temporary breakup with the world. And on top of that, some studies report that over 60% of people have experienced on and off again relationships. So you see, really, breaking up and getting back together is a normal part of dating. And it can actually make your relationship stronger if you take it as a wake-up call and address the issues that led you to this point. So what I'm saying is that, outside of certain situations that I'm about to talk about, you do have a solid chance of getting your ex back if that's what you want. But let's get a bit more specific here. The best way for you to find out your specific chances of getting your ex back based on your particular relationship and your breakup scenario is to take my quiz at breakupbrad.com/quiz. Now, I actually designed this quiz to answer this very question specifically because it's something that comes up so frequently with my coaching clients and my viewers here on YouTube. Now, the quiz is free. It only takes 5 minutes, and it will tell you your chances of getting back with your ex as represented by a number out of 100. Again, go to breakupbrad.com/quiz to answer this question once and for all. But for now, let's talk about your breakup. So I'm going to go over some specific scenarios that mean your chances of getting your ex back are better than average. So number one, you didn't cheat. According to almost everyone who studies relationships and infidelity, cheating significantly hurts both your chances of getting back together and your chances of staying together if you do reconcile. Go figure, right? Basically, cheating destroys your partner's trust in you, which means it's much harder for them to believe that you'll be able or willing to treat them right. It also shows them that you don't value them as a partner, and people just don't stick around if they don't feel valued. And on top of that, it hurts their self-esteem, both to be cheated on and then to take you back. And people who don't like themselves really struggle in relationships because they find it hard to truth their partner's feelings or even their own feelings. Now, I'm not going to say that this is, an impossible scenario. Many people have reconnected after cheating and ended up creating a happy relationship again, but it's definitely an uphill battle, and you'll both need to be willing to make it to work to actually make that happen. Now, number 2, your ex is angry at you. Now, you'd think that an angry ex would be a bad sign if you want them back, but actually it's not. See, your ex's positive feelings don't mean a whole hell of a lot here. Sure, all things being equal, your chances are better with an ex who likes you than they are with an ex who hates your guts. But I think we all know people from our past who we like, who we have no ill will towards, but we wouldn't want to date again in a million years. We're totally over them, and we don't look at them that way anymore, at all. So the real thing we're looking for here is emotional investment, the attachment between you and your ex. And an ex who's angry at you is one who is still attached to you. If they've totally moved on, then whether they hate you or not doesn't really matter. They're not going to be angry at you anymore. You simply won't occupy space in their mind. But when your ex is angry, it's a sign that you're still living in their head rent-free. Think about it. If your ex really didn't care about you, would they call you up and yell at you on the phone? Would they talk shit about you to anybody who'd listen? Would they still hold on to a grudge? Chances are no, they wouldn't. Now that said, the significance of your ex's anger obviously depends on what they're actually angry about. If you cheated on them, ran over their dog, and stole their mother's wedding ring, then they still have a legitimate beef, and you probably have no chance with them. But if your ex seems to have no real reason to be upset, or they keep picking fights and inventing issues that don't really matter now that you've broken up, then this is a very good sign for your chances. This anger will be something that you have to be aware of when you're trying to win them back, but it's going to help you more than it'll hurt you. And number 3 is if it's been less than 2 months since your breakup. Now, there is a sweet spot when it comes to reconnecting with an ex, and it's usually between the 1 and 2 month mark. There is a sweet spot when it comes to reconnecting with an ex, and it's usually between the 1 and 2 month mark. This gives you both plenty of time to cool off, to process the breakup, and to start to miss one another. If you only broke up a few weeks ago, it's too soon to try to reconnect. Things are too raw, and this can of course lead to fights, to misunderstandings, and to hurt feelings. The good news is you just have to wait a little while, and you should be good. But then once you pass that 2 month mark, things start to cool off and your ex will start to forget about you and the relationship. Really, this is just human nature. We can only pine after somebody for so long. Eventually, we have to move forward or we'll go crazy. Now, of course, this time period does depend on the length of the relationship, but for the most part, this is the timeline that you're looking at. Now, this isn't to say that you have no chance if it's been more than 2 months, but it definitely won't help your chances, so I'd recommend you start moving forward with a plan now. Number 4, you signed up for my one-on-one coaching program. So this is where that plan comes in. I've been doing this for a long time and I've helped thousands of people in seemingly unwinnable situations reconnect with their ex and create a new life together. When you sign up for my coaching, I'll work with you one-on-one to put together a plan that's tailored to your specific situations and get your ex back into your arms. So just go to breakupbrad.com/coaching to learn more. Remember, just like with anything else, when solving a problem, there's a huge benefit to working with somebody who has experience solving the same problem time and time again. So again, check out breakupbrad.com/coaching right now to see my availability and sign up today. Now let's move on to number 5. You didn't pester your ex. So if you want your ex back, it makes sense that you want to reach out, you want to talk to them, and you want to make them see reason. You want to explain your feelings, what went wrong, and what you can do to make this work again. But unfortunately, in my experience, this approach is almost never welcomed by your ex. At this point, they just want some space from you, and by continuing to reach out, you're only creating a negative association between you and a stressful situation that they want to avoid. So, pestering your ex will only hurt your chances. You need to stop it immediately if you want to have any chance with your ex. The truth is, you simply can't convince your ex to change their mind about the breakup, but that doesn't mean that you can't get them back. You just need to focus on reconnecting with them emotionally. Make them laugh, have fun together, and start rebuilding that attraction, that bond. Really, this is an issue of emotions, not logic. So you're not going to be able to change their mind with words. You need to use actions. And number 6, you never took them for granted. Look, we all take our partner for granted in relationships sometimes. That's part of creating this awesome, stable bond with another person. You don't have to spend your time obsessing about them and how they're doing. You can just, be together and be happy. But there is a fine line between trusting your partner to always be there for you and taking them for granted. And when you cross this line consistently, your partner will start to feel unappreciated. Now, this feeling is extremely hard to shake. Your partner may want to come to you and tell you that they're feeling this way, but even if that makes you change your behavior, it may feel forced to them. Like if they have to ask, do you really care about them, or are you just putting on airs so that they stick around? And once this issue has led to a breakup, it can be really hard to overcome. Because again, how can they trust that you've really changed and will treat them the way that they deserve to be treated in the long term? It's very common for people to promise a lot to win back an ex and then actually fail to follow through once things are back to normal. So if this is your situation, you do need to make significant changes when the two of you do reconnect to make them feel cared for and not taken for granted, or you're going to lose them all over again. And number 7, the reasons you broke up are actually fixable. So I think it's easy to get stuck on trying to get your ex back and never consider why you actually broke up in the first place. I mean, who wants to think about that stuff, right? It feels much better to just move forward. But if you do want your ex back, you should take a look at what drove you apart. Was it your cheating? Did you stop taking care of yourself? Did you grow apart? Basically, you need to figure out what actually went wrong, own it, and try to come up with a solution. Unfortunately, the truth is that some problems can be solved and some can't. So if your ex dumped you because they wanted to be with someone of the same ethnic background or something like that, then that's obviously a problem that's going to be difficult to overcome. Or maybe they want to have kids right now and you never want kids. Or you're an Antarctic researcher who wants to live at the South Pole and they're a professional surfer. Obviously, these are extreme examples, but chances are your problem lies somewhere between an easy fix and an impossible obstacle, and you do need to figure that out. Now, I will say that while it's important to be aware of this stuff, because your ex is going to have some questions about it at some point, I wouldn't make this your number one priority. Definitely don't try to start a conversation about it early on in the process of reconnecting, or you're just going to scare your ex off. And number 8, you're in it for the long haul. If you want your ex back, you need to ask yourself what you're actually looking for. Are you just trying to drown your sorrows and not really thinking about tomorrow? Is this just a summer fling that you're hoping to squeeze another month out of before you go back to school? Or is this actually the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with? If you're looking for something serious, and so is your ex, then your chances of successfully reconnecting go way up. Because no one wants to go through the inevitable struggle and conflict that comes with reconnecting with an ex if they know that there's already an expiration date on the whole thing. They want to know that the juice will be worth the squeeze, so to speak. And this is why you'll see this happen more often with older, more mature people, because they know that they're looking for their forever person, and they're willing to fight for it and make compromises to make it happen. Now, that's certainly not to say that you can't get your ex back if you're not sure what you actually want, but your success rate isn't going to be as high. So now that you have a better idea of your chances, how can you improve them? Well, I've actually included links to a few other videos in the description below that go into a lot more detail, but let's quickly go over the plan. First, if you haven't spent a significant amount of time apart from your ex since the breakup, then you need to cut all contact. You need to spend at least a few weeks without talking to your ex at all. Now, I spoke earlier about why that is. Basically, it makes them miss you and allows you both to cool off, and so you can sort of reconnect in a more healthy way. And during that time apart, you really need to work on yourself and improve your own life. That's going to give you the confidence and really make your ex more attracted to you when they do see you again. And finally, you need to work on the specific issues that drove you two apart so that you'll be able to have that inevitable conversation when the time does come. Now, when you do want to reach out to your ex, start with texting. Don't rehash the breakup, but do try to make them laugh and just remind them of your happy past. And then from there, move into in-person meetings and start to spend more time together until it starts to feel like you never broke up at all. And if you run into any stumbling blocks during that whole process, please go to breakupbrad.com and watch my full free video presentation because it will help you get back on track. That just about does it for this video. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Please hit the like button and subscribe for more help during your difficult time here. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave your questions in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching again. Best of luck and see you next time. Bye for now.